The Haveli of Thought-provoking. Chapter 1. The Road to the Cursed Village. The minibus shuddered violently as it left the last stretch of tarmac and groaned onto the dusty Catcher Road. For the past hour, they hadn't passed a single vehicle. Only scattered thorny shrubs, the occasional mud brick dwelling, and endless stretches of sun-baked wilderness. "Blimey, even the GPS isn't working out here," muttered Danish, leaning over his phone with a frown. "No idea how far we are now." "Relax," replied Faraz, the de facto leader of their little group, as he wiped the sweat from his brow. "Professor Faruqi said Thought-provoking is just 2 hours from the main road. We're probably 20 minutes away." There were 6 of them on this trip. Faraz, tall and confident, with an air of natural authority. Danish, his short-tempered best mate. Sanaa, quiet and studious. Miriam, the exuberant vlogger determined to film everything. Haider, the aspiring photographer who rarely spoke, but never lowered his camera. And Zayn, the group's joker. It was supposed to be a routine research trip. Their professor had assigned them a project on rural Sindh's architectural heritage. And what better way than to visit Thought-provoking, a near-forgotten village known for its crumbling colonial-era Haveli? "Just think," Miriam said cheerfully, adjusting her dupatta. "We'll get such brilliant footage for the vlog. A haunted Haveli. It even sounds exciting." "Haunted? Are you serious?" Dana shot her a sharp look. "Of course," Miriam smirked. "Didn't you read up on Thought-provoking? Locals say there's a woman spirit wandering about, a churel. She lures men in at night, and then they disappear." "Oh, do shut up," Sanaa snapped. "That's all nonsense. We're here to do research, not chase ghosts." Zayn chuckled from the back seat. "Churel or not, maybe she's just lonely. She'll be thrilled to see Danish." "Shut your mouth," Danish growled, lobbing an empty bottle at him. The bus lurched, and the driver, a wiry old man with a sunken face and milky eyes, muttered something in Sindhi under his breath. "What did he say?" Faraz asked. Sanaa, who understood some Sindhi, translated hesitantly. He said, "Hurry, you must arrive before sundown. After dark, she wakes." "Who?" Haider asked, finally speaking. Sanaa swallowed. "The one who lives in the Haveli." For a moment, no one spoke. By the time they reached the outskirts of Thought-provoking, the sun had begun dipping toward the horizon, staining the sky a deep, foreboding orange. The village was a shadow of life. Mud huts stood in haphazard clusters, and a few villagers stared at their bus as though they had seen specters themselves. Emaciated children with hollow eyes peered from behind doorways. A herd of goats passed by, driven by a shepherd who didn't glance their way. "This place feels dead," Miriam whispered, lowering her camera. "Not dead," Zayn said, feigning a shiver. "Curse." The driver stopped near a crumbling brick wall. "That's as far as I'll go," he said firmly, shaking his head. Faraz frowned. "Why?" "The Haveli's further inside." The driver spat on the ground. "That's different ground. The Haveli belongs to others. I'm leaving before dark. You should too. Do you understand?" They all floated their bags, and the minibus roared away, leaving them in an unsettling silence. The Haveli stood at the far end of the village, beyond a dry, cracked field. It was enormous, 4 stories high, with arched windows and a broken wooden gate hanging limply. Vines crawled up its weathered walls like veins, and faded blue paint peeled off in unsightly patches. It must have been grand once. Now, it resembled the corpse of a forgotten giant. "Wow!" Haider murmured, immediately lifting his camera. "This is haunting." "Exactly the vibe I wanted," Miriam said, already filming. "Look here, everyone, the legendary Haveli of Thought-provoking." As they approached, an old man appeared from the side, hunched over a stick. His beard was white, his eyes clouded yet unervingly sharp. "What are you lot doing here?" he rasped. "We're students," Faraz explained politely. "We've come for research." Professor Faruqi arranged permission. The old man studied them for a long moment. "You're city folk. You won't understand." "We'll try to," Faraz said, offering a smile. The man stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Listen carefully, children. This Haveli isn't what you think it is. It's a house of restless souls. And the most dangerous of them is the Churel, she who feeds on men. Sanaa froze. Feeds. He nodded gravely. Don't stay here at night. And if you do, pray she doesn't take a liking to you. With that, he limped away, disappearing behind the wall as though he'd never existed. Inside, the Haveli smelled of damp wood and decay. Dust motes danced in the last light, filtering through broken windows. Their footsteps echoed unervingly against the cracked tiles. Creepy as hell, Zane muttered. Just one night, Faraz said, attempting to sound braver than he felt. We'll finish the research in the morning and leave. They chose the main hall for their camp. Its high ceiling still intact, though cobwebs drooped from the corners like sinister curtains. As night fell, the air grew colder. At dinner, they sat in a circle, eating the food they'd packed. You know, Miriam said suddenly, in every Churel story she always goes to the men first. Good, Sanaa replied. Let's see how Danish and Zane manage. Zane smirked. Maybe she'll fall for my charm. Or rip your face off, Danish shot back. Everyone laughed nervously, but the laughter didn't last. At midnight, when the lanterns flickered and the wind howled through broken windows, Hader, who had gone to take night shots, returned pale as chalk. Guys, he whispered, his camera trembling in his hands. There's someone in the courtyard. A villager? Faraz asked. Hader's voice shook. No, not a villager. She wasn't human. Long hair, white dress, feet the wrong way. The words froze them all. Churel, Miriam breathed. And then, from somewhere deep within the Haveli, came the sound of anklets. Chan, 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 growing closer. Chapter 2, The Anklets in the Dark. The sound came again. Chan, chan, chan. Soft at first, like a memory, then louder, deliberate, each step pressing against the silence until it became unbearable. Hader, Faraz whispered, his voice tight. What exactly did you see? Hader swallowed hard, clutching his camera like a weapon. She was standing near the old well in the courtyard. Long hair, all the way down to her waist. Her face was hidden and... He hesitated. And what? Danish snapped, his voice breaking. And her feet, Hader stammered. They were twisted, backwards. Miriam let out a nervous laugh. The kind people make when they're desperate to convince themselves it's all in their head. You're joking. You have to be... Hader didn't answer. Chan, chan. This time, the sound came from a corridor outside the hall. Zane's face drained of color. She's inside. Everyone turned to Faraz, as though he somehow had all the answers. He didn't. His stomach churned, but he forced a steady voice. It's probably a villager. Maybe just some old woman. No old woman walks like that, Sanaa hissed. Miriam clutched her camera, still recording. We should document this. If it's real... Danish shot her a glare. You think we need a bloody vlog right now? But before the argument could escalate, they heard it, a whisper. It was faint, but clear enough to silence them all. The word floated through the corridor, like a cold breath. Come. Sanaa's hand shot out and gripped Faraz's wrist. Tell me you heard that. He nodded stiffly. They backed away from the doorway, huddling together. Maybe we should leave, Zane suggested, his voice quivering. We can go back to the village. On foot? At midnight? Through fields? Faraz snapped. That's worse. So what then? We just wait here while some demon woman comes and... Shut up. Faraz's voice cut through, sharper than he intended. Chan Chan. The anklets were now just outside the hall. Hader, still clutching his camera, raised it slowly toward the doorframe. His hands trembled as he zoomed in through the broken wooden frame. And then they all saw her. She stood in the corridor, half shrouded in shadow. Her hair, matted and long, obscured most of her face. Her dress, once white, was tattered and stained, hanging loosely over her unnaturally thin frame. And her feet, God, those feet, were bent at impossible angles, toes pointing backwards, resting on the cold tiles as though she had been born that way. She didn't move. For a moment, it was as though she was listening. Then, slowly, her head tilted. Not like a person, but like something imitating one. "Don't move," Faraz whispered, barely breathing. "Is she looking at us?" Zane whispered back, "I don't know." The figure swayed slightly, like a pendulum, and then she giggled. The sound was wrong. Too high-pitched, too broken. "Eh?" She beckoned. That broke them. "Run," Faraz hissed. They bolted to the far end of the hall, towards the stairwell. Their footsteps pounded against the tiles, echoing to the valley like frantic drum beats. Miriam tripped over a camera bag, but was yanked up by Danish without a word. Behind them, the anklets followed. Chan, chan, chan. Slow, deliberate, almost playful. They reached the staircase and dashed up, hearts hammering in unison. The first floor landing was worse, dust-filled, lined with rooms that gaped like open mouths. "Which way?" Zane cried. "Top floor," Faraz barked. "Keep going." They didn't dare look back. Only when they reached the fourth floor did they stop, breathless and shaking. The air was colder here. Stale. Faraz shoved open the first door he saw, revealing an abandoned guest room. Torn curtains hung over shattered windows. An old charpoy lay in the corner, its rope half-snapped. "In here," he ordered. They crowded inside. For a few moments, only the sound of their ragged breathing filled the room. Then silence. No anklets. No whispers. It was almost worse than the sound itself. Did we lose her? Miriam whispered. No one answered. Hader, still filming out of instinct, slowly turned the camera towards a doorway. Nothing. And then, just as they began to believe it was over, Chan, right outside the room. They froze. "Lock it," Danish hissed. "There's no lock." Faraz whispered back. The anklet stopped. For a long, unbearable moment, there was no sound. And then, a hand appeared at the edge of the doorframe. Long gray, with nails like knives. Miriam whimpered. The hand didn't push the door. It only tapped. Once. Twice. Tap. Tap. Then came the whisper again. "Eh?" Faraz's chest tightened as every instinct screamed at him to run. But there was nowhere left to go. He realized then they weren't dealing with a ghost story. They were inside it, and it wasn't going to let them leave. Chapter 3, The Well of Kot Rohale. The tapping stopped. The silence was suffocating, like the Haveli itself was holding its breath. "Don't make a sound," Faraz mouthed. No one dared to move. Miriam's shaky hands clutched her camera to her chest. Hader's lens was still pointed at the doorframe, though his finger hovered uselessly over the button. For a few agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Then, Chan, the anklets receded, each step growing fainter. "Is she leaving?" Zane whispered. "Don't trust it," Sanaa hissed. "That thing isn't human." Faraz peered out of the shattered window. The courtyard below glimmered faintly in the moonlight. In the center stood the old well Hader had spoken of. It seemed to breathe in the night air, exhaling a deep, cold stillness. "She came from there," Hader murmured, following Faraz's gaze. "What?" "The well. That's where I saw her first." "Brilliant," Danish muttered. "We're trapped in a haunted house with a demon, and you want to give her a bloody backstory." Faraz ignored him. His mind was racing. There was a reason she hadn't come in. Something had kept her out. "Listen," he said at last, voice steady despite the fear clawing his insides. "We can't just stay here. She'll toy with us all night. We need to get out." "On foot." Zane's voice cracked. "You saw the fields. It's pitch black. What if she's out there? Then we make it to the village." Faraz snapped. "We don't stop. At least there are people there." Miriam's breathing quickened. "And what if we don't make it that far?" Then, Faraz said grimly, "We find out what she wants. Why she's still here." Hader lowered his camera, frowning. "You think she wants something?" "Ghosts don't just linger," Sanaa said quietly. "There's always a reason." They waited, listening. The Haveli had fallen silent again. No anklets. No whispers. Faraz took a deep breath. We go together. Slowly. Down the back stairwell. Straight through the courtyard and out the front gates. Past the well? Zayn asked. Yes. Fantastic, Zayn muttered. Straight past the creepy death well. The descent was agony. Every creak of the floorboards sounded like an alarm bell. The back stairwell was narrow and steep, forcing them to go single file. Faraz leading, Danish at the rear. Miriam whispered prayers under her breath. Hader filmed despite the tremor in his hands. When they reached the ground floor, the air changed. It was colder, denser, almost as if the Haveli itself knew where they were going. The courtyard stretched before them, bathed in a pale, sickly moonlight. And there it was, the well. It was older than the rest of the structure, its stones moss-eaten and jagged. The wooden cover had rotted away, leaving only a gaping black hole. A faint, fetid odor drifted from its depths. Sanaa gagged. God, what is that smell? Death, Danish muttered. Don't look at it. Faraz ordered. Just keep moving. They crept along the edge, eyes fixed on the gate. Halfway across, Miriam froze. Wait. Faraz turned. What now? Listen. They all stopped. From the well came a sound. Dripping. Slow. Steady. And beneath it, voices. Not one. Dozens. Whispering. Overlapping. As though the well itself was speaking. Zayn stepped back. Nope. No. We are not stopping to. Before he could finish, a cold wind rushed past him. The anklets started again. Chan, Chan, Chan. From behind. She's inside, Miriam whispered. No, Hader said hoarsely. She's everywhere. The whispers from the well grew louder, drowning out the anklets. A woman's voice rose above the others, mournful and furious all at once. Tumui Kianban Kia? Zayn backed away. What the hell is that? Keep moving. Faraz barked, pushing them forward. But they weren't fast enough. The anklets grew deafening. And then she was there, in front of the gates, blocking the only exit. Her head twitched unnaturally as she stared at them, hair falling in curtains across her face. She raised one skeletal hand and pointed, not at them, at the well. Faraz's blood ran cold. She wants us to go to it, he said slowly. Brilliant idea, Danish spat. Why don't we just jump in while we're at it? But Sanaa's face had gone pale. No, I think she's trapped. That's why she lingers. That's where she died. Miriam swallowed hard. You're saying she wants us to look? Or join her, Zayn muttered. The churel giggled, a broken, jagged sound. Then she stepped aside, clearing the path to the well. Faraz, Miriam whispered. What do we do? His hands shook, but he forced himself forward. We go to the well. Chapter 4, The Bride in the Well. They approached the well, like prisoners walking to the gallows. Every step felt wrong. The air grew heavier. The whispers deepened, threading through their skulls like roots. Faraz, we shouldn't, Sanaa said, her voice trembling. We don't have a choice, he replied through clenched teeth. The churel stayed near the gate, still as a statue, watching, waiting. Up close, the well was worse. Its stones were slick with moss, the black mouth yawning wide. The stench of stagnant water, no, of something worse, made them gag. Hader raised his camera, shakily, leaning over the rim. It's too dark. I can't see anything. Don't lean in, Danish barked, yanking him back. You'll fall. Wait, Miriam said, her eyes darting to stones. Look, there's something carved here. They all peered closer. In the moonlight, faint letters appeared on the inner lip of the well. Urdu words scratched in desperation. Asmui Yahan Kai Kia. He imprisoned me here. Sanaa covered her mouth. Oh, God. Miriam traced the marks with her fingers. Who would? Her, Hader said softly. She wrote this. Before she died. The whispers grew louder, rising like a chorus. Then they heard it. A splash. Something moved in the black water. Please tell me that was a frog. Zane whispered. There was another splash. Louder. And then a hand shot out of the well. Gray. Rotting. Fingernails scraping the stone. Miriam screamed. Back. Move back. Faraz barked, shoving them away. But the hand wasn't reaching for them. It clawed at the stone as though trying to climb out. And then, with a wet, tearing sound, another hand emerged. Skeletal. Feminine. Danish's face twisted in horror. Oh, hell no. A voice erupted from the well, louder than all the whispers combined. Muyi Bahar Niccolo. Let me out. The churel by the gate laughed. It was then Faraz realized the truth. The thing in the well, that was her too. The spirit outside wasn't a prisoner. It was a shadow that death had made of her. This Haveli didn't just hold her ghost. It held her body. Faraz? Miriam choked out. We need to go. Now. Faraz turned, ready to give the order, but froze. The gate was empty. The churel was gone. And then, right behind them, the anklets started again. Chan, chan, chan. Chapter 5, Blood in the Stones. The anklets were closer now. Chan, chan, coming from behind them. Run. Faraz barked, grabbing Sanaa's arm and dragging her towards the back corridor. Hader didn't follow. He stayed at the well, camera still rolling. Hader! Miriam screamed. She's in there, he whispered, voice distant. She's not just a ghost, she's still in there. Leave him, Danish yelled. Faraz hesitated for only a second before pulling Miriam and Sanaa with him. Zane and Danish bolted ahead. They tore through the corridor, lungs burning, feet slamming against the tiles. But no matter how far they ran, the Haveli felt endless, stretching, warping like a nightmare. She's playing with us, Sanaa gasped. She's not letting us out. She can't leave, Miriam panted. She's bound here. That's why she stays. They stopped in what looked like an old prayer room. Dust-covered rugs lay scattered on the floor, and the crumbling mirror was painted with strange blackened streaks, burn marks. Rest, Faraz said, catching his breath, just for a minute. Then he saw it, on the wall, a name painted in dark, dried streaks. Rohale. He stepped closer. It wasn't paint. It was blood. Faraz, Sanaa whispered. That's your surname. Faraz blinked. What? Your full name, she said slowly. Faraz Rohale. Everyone turned to look at him. You're joking, Zane said, half laughing. You're related to this place? Faraz shook his head. No, I don't know. I've never even been here. Miriam's voice was trembling. Maybe you don't remember, but she does. A giggle echoed to the prayer room. Chan, Chan. The anklets were just outside the door. Faraz's blood went cold. She's not hunting us at random, Miriam whispered, her voice breaking. She's here for you. And then the door slammed shut by itself. To be continued. Part 2, to be Count New.